Hari Om, chapter 14, verse number 19. So far we have seen three gunas, of course, sattva, rajas and tamas. Where are they? They are in all of us. In what measure? In differing measures. Some may have a higher sattva, some may have a higher rajas, and so on. And tamas may be high in some. Sattva is wanting to know the higher truth, not getting too entangled or too drawn or too tempted or having a very large appetite, not having an appetite for the things of the world, objects, people, experiences, that energy that one puts into acquiring, that appetite is low in a sattvic. And rajasic, of course, the appetite for the things of the world, objects and experiences and people, and that chasing after sukha. And what kind of sukha? So our scriptures say there are three kinds of sukha which encapsulate any kind of desire that is ever felt by any one of us. So it is putreshna, vitteshna and lokeshna. I'm sure we have heard these terms, but just to refresh, I will say putreshna, we all suffer from these in different measures. Putreshna, the word is self-explanatory. Putra is our progeny, our family, our immediate, so our attachment to our progeny and our family and our putra, children, the attachment becomes so great that, and also that the desire to have, first of all, children is also a kind of desire, putreshna. And then looking for a kind of involvement in all their welfare and material progress and wealth and power that you desire, then again for the putra, that is putra meaning the children. So the putreshna encapsulates a lot of things that involves the family. What other desires do we suffer from? Yes, desires are a suffering. Vitteshna, vitta means wealth. Now, it is not pure wealth that we are desiring. We have an income, we have some stored wealth, but what vitteshna stands for is a larger desire for all the things that wealth can buy. So it is not just desire for wealth, but all that wealth can buy, vitteshna, encapsulated in very capsules, in small capsules in the scriptures, vitteshna. What about lokeshna? Yes, we also suffer from another desire. Loka. Loka itself means people. So what is this lokeshna? Do we desire people? No. We desire the approval and attention and applause and praise from people. And that there should be so many people. And then online these days there are people, even swamis, who say, oh, I have 500 followers. I have 5,000 followers. So they are all watching. There are sometimes we switch on a video and we see, okay, Swamini Amma or Swamiji is asking, okay, so is asking the technology person. Okay, I'm going to start my lecture. Tell me how many people are connected online. They want to know that even before they begin. Okay, so they told Swamiji there are 300 people connected right now on Zoom. Say, okay. So, what are, I'm not saying everyone is falling prey to this desire for more and more followers. Facebook is a big trap for this. How many friends do I have? How many friends have befriended me? They're all vague faces. We don't know them. We don't know their depth. We don't know the depth of our own families and dear friends. We know them only superficially. Okay, this is what they do. And how can we know the depth of so many 5,000 friend zone people in Facebook? It all becomes very superficial. But there is an ashna, there is a desire that, I have thrown a party and how many people have attended. You have heard people speak like that. So at my daughter's wedding, that there were 2,000 people who attended, or at my grandmother's funeral, do you know how many people attended? So they are looking for that kind of self-praise. Praise that comes from other people, which makes them feel good. So, Bhagavan says, now, this kind of lokeshna, putreshna and vitteshna is actually a mark of the Rajasic person. And Tamasic, of course, we know very well, the one who is completely uninterested, is interested in wealth and all the pleasures and everything, but is too lazy even to lift a finger to even acquire it. अभी मिल जाए तो ठीक है, कोई और कर दे तो ठीक है. So these are the people who usually depend on others and say, ये कर दो, हमारे लिए वो कर दो, why don't you do this? And they're expecting a lot of things to be done because they're too lazy to get up and do it. Then they are procrastinating all the time. Their own responsibilities are put on the back burner. There are some things. So that is something. Now, what happens? Why is it that when we cultivate sattva, rajas or tamas, we carry it through our life? And as we carry it through our life, so also at the end, at the moment of death. How can that change at the moment of death? At the moment of death, if I say, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, is it that my entire guna, the entire climate of the mind, my entire attitude and personality imprint is going to change in that one moment of death? It's not possible. And therefore, why is it that we see, and we have seen these examples? The first example was that of a devotee of mission, a devotee who at the moment of death, because he knew it was a terminal cancer he was suffering from, at the moment of death he was delirious, and all that he kept saying was, Mere Guru, Mere Gobind. My Gobind means stands for God. My God and my Guru are calling me. My God and my Guru are calling me. One person at the moment of death, because all his life the personality imprint was that of following the Guru. This was an ordinary follower. He was not a Swami, a Grihastha. Why is it that one person at the moment of death says, my Guru and my Krishna, and another person at the moment of death says, oh, all you 4 sons are here at my death to see me because I am sick. So who is at the cash counter in the shop is the last thought of a business, or business people can also be sattvic, of a person who is extremely rajasic. Why? Because at the end only those pravrittis will show up, only those qualities will show up. So at the moment of death, one person says, my Guru is calling me, and the other person says, who is at the cash counter at the shop if all you sons are accumulated here at the... Now, you know of people. So there are people few days before they pass away, and if they are terminally ill and they know it's the time of death and things are pretty bad for them, they're still talking about the things that they always talked about. So we have to be careful. So we are pointing fingers at others, so that we know more about ourselves. That's the whole idea. So look carefully. There are people who talk about the jewels. They talk about the jewelry. Abhi kya hoga? Mera paise ka kya hoga? Ye property ka kya hua? Some people talk about even at the deathbed. So bring me my cosmetics. I want to look nice, and I like the feel of being done up, or something like that. And so because all their lives they have spent looking at the exterior, of interacting with people only through the exterior, superficial life. So looking at the exterior, talking about looks and beauty and costumes and jewelry and dresses and experiences. कि आप कहाँ गए थे, हमने क्या किया, आपने क्या किया. We are constantly, if we spend 80% of our interaction in the world on these things, then our interaction is going to be imprinted as a personality type. And therefore, at the end, I have seen people talk of these things. 1 month before a person passes away, says, oh, you have this, I want this beautiful bedspread you have got from wherever you got it. I really love this. Why is that person's mind on objects, bedspreads and jewelry and cosmetics? Because that's what they have done. Now, coming back to ourselves. Now, when we look at them, it should be chastening. It should be a humbling lesson for us. Am I doing this? If I do that, then in my last moment, that's where I'm going to be. Weeks before my death, I'm going to be asking the neighbor, "ये तुम कहाँ से लाए? मुझे भी चाहिए." You know that Vitteshana, as we call it, Vitteshana, wealth and all the things that objects that wealth can buy, that doesn't go at the end. That is what Bhagavan is saying are all the gunas. That's where we had stopped. Verse number 19. Chapter 14. Nanyam gunebhya kartaram yada drashtanu pashyati. So, when the seer beholds that he is not the guna, he is just an agent of expressing the guna, all the gunas, that is our personality type, sattvic, rajasic. Then, gunebhyascha param veti. Then he knows that which is higher than all the gunas. And he knows that it's only Prakriti. Prakriti meaning the world of matter in which my body and my mind is expressing this, and my body and mind is matter. Then there must be something he realizes which is beyond matter. Madbhavam sodhigacchati. And only then Krishna is saying, Madbhavam, they attain me. How can we attain Krishna? If we are so lost in the Prakritic world, of the world of matter, of sattvic, rajasic, tamasic qualities. So Bhagavan is saying, the one who realizes, oh, this is only an expression of my matter body and my mind, then I am not this, and there must be something beyond that. And of course, the biggest proof that guna are not absolute. Guna, the qualities, the personality that I hold, is not an absolute. Absolute means what? Unchanging through the ages, through life and death, through many lifetimes, and of course through stages of life. Unchanging. Can guna be like that? Oh no, they're changing so much. Maybe when I was younger, there was so much of rajas in me. I want to achieve this, I want to get that job, I want to apply for so many kinds of interesting jobs, work hard for it, work 18 hours to prove myself in those jobs. Yes, that was a lot of rajasic, right? So, but today I may be a little less rajasic. So who is the real me? That person who was then rajasic, or the person who is now trying to explore what is sattvic and is quieter and more equanimous and more explorative of the higher truth. So which is me? Therefore, the real me cannot be the changing one. The one who realizes this, then drishtanu pashyati, yada drishtanu pashyati, drishta, one who sees this realizes, oh, the changing cannot be the real. And anything that's changing in me and around me cannot be the real. So let's find out more about the secret of the gunas, which we think we are. मैं ऐसा हूँ, मैं वैसा हूँ. I like this, I like that. It becomes encrusted in our mind. The more we talk about it and the more we express it amongst our friends, it gets encrusted. No. A few years back, I may have liked movies. Today, I may not like movies. So I am not this. But when I am in a social gathering, I think I am that quality, and I say, मैं ऐसा हूँ, मैं वैसा हूँ. But I may change tomorrow. So where is the truth of you? Where is the absolute truth? And we are looking for the absolute truth through the scriptures. We are not looking for these passing charades that we play, these games that we play in society and with our mind. Our mind is fickle and society is unreal, like sansar. And my qualities are going up and down, uch neech ho raha hai. So everything is rocking. If I am not looking for the absolute, then I am really not looking for Bhagavan. I am not looking for Krishna. I am not looking for consciousness. Therefore, that thought itself shakes me out of this old way of living. And then I say, okay, I am okay with all these qualities. I know this is in me. I know they sattvic, rajasic, tamasic with me, because the world and sansar, I have to interact with my body, mind, with the sansar. But I am not this. So Bhagavan says in verse 20, Guna netana sityatri dehi deha samudhavan. Guna, crossing these three gunas. Crossing these, meaning realizing, I can't be this changing stuff. I, meaning I, the absolute me, the absolute self, which remains the same through birth and death. That cannot be me. So therefore I cross the three gunas. That means I don't identify with it. And then Dehi Deha Samudhavan. and then the embodied me, the embodied self, that means me with this body, becomes more evolved, Deha Samudbhavan, embodied one, having crossed beyond these three gunas, out of which, and in these three gunas have actually come out of where? Out of this body itself. Body is Prakriti. So they are in the body, they play on the body, and when I'm dead, they go with the body. So it can't be. The one who realizes this goes beyond the three gunas and also goes beyond something else, much bigger. What is that? It goes beyond Janma Mrityu Jara Dukhaihi. This is again a big promise. Second line of Krishna. He says the moment you realize you are not this guna, none of the sattvic, rajasic or tamasic qualities which rock you up and down are going to affect you, and therefore you will not feel the pain of old age, that is jara, or death. It seems that death seems to be the highest grief that man has known. I wonder if it is. I think another person's death may be the highest grief. But we, at the time of ending, when our lives are ending, we hardly know about it. So we just pass on. And it is a prolonged illness. But still, we live in a state where we consider this body, which is decaying and disintegrating, we hold on to it as if it should live forever. The moment we say it should live forever, we are denying the quality of this body, which is disintegrating, and we are denying the quality of our real self, which is actually Amrit. That means it doesn't know death. So Bhagavan says, the moment you know that only the gunas and this body and the embodied self is dying, then of course you go beyond Janma, Mrityu, Jara and Dukhai, the pain of all these things. Because then you know that the real you, the real self, which is unchanging, which is consciousness, which is Avyaya, the real immutable, Avyaya, unchanging. There is something unchanging in us, right? Otherwise there will be no continuity in us through all the stages of our life. That once we know and hold on to it, hold on to that, me the constant self, then it is the same as holding on to Krishna consciousness. Vimukto mritamashnote. Such a person attains immortality. Why attain? No, that person is immortal. And if not that person is you, everyone else. That Atma is immortal. So Gunanetana Titya Shri Dehi Deha Samudbhavan Janma Mrityu Jara Dukhaihi Vimukto Mrita Ashnute. Vimukto is freed. Amrita Ashnute. Now, once we know that the changing qualities are nothing but reflections in water, let's look at it as an example, because the mind needs something concrete to hold on to. So the concrete example is reflections in water. That water is going to reflect murderers, and it will reflect the spring flowers. It will reflect the images of gods and mountains. It will reflect the images of drunkards and cheats and liars. That water has no qualms. But yes, our sansar is like that. We see all this around us. The beauty of spring flowers, and of course we see deceit and subterfuge and manipulation and lying. Oh, okay, we see all that. But the water on which it is reflected, my consciousness, is untouched. It remains conscious. So water remains water. Let the clouds pass. Let the mountains be reflected. Let roads across the water, and water will reflect it very faithfully. That's why in Sansar we see all this. Sansar is only reflecting everything, but nothing is real, and the water remains the same. That's how our consciousness remains. तो फिर हमको समझ में आता है कि मैं किस चीज से संबंध, what am I entangling myself or attaching myself to? This deha, then it's mitti. This deha is mitti. तो मैं मिट्टी से संबंध बनाए रखती हूँ. The moment the thought strikes us, we feel the absurdity of it. How absurd are our lives कि मैंने जिस चीज से संबंध बनाया है वो actually मिट्टी है. Clod of mud. That's what the body is. So, So in meditation it has been said that you can touch that truth, that consciousness, because the mind goes beyond the mind and thinking and thoughts of the world and experiences, and there is no process of thought entanglement with the world. And therefore in meditation you can at least hope for a moment, maybe fleetingly in the beginning if we are novice meditators, fleetingly to touch that higher self which is pulsating around us and in us. That pulsating spark of energy is us, because we are only energy at rock bottom, and therefore we can hope to touch it. Maybe it will appear like silence, or it may appear like an echoing sound of Om, or to some people it appears like a flash of blinding white light, or the sound of Om. Doesn't matter. But also people who have come back from samadhi, let's say, from the highest, the deepest point of meditation, have described it in these terms. That's why I'm describing it as Om, the sound of Om, which is eternal, or white light, things like that. That's how we can touch it. Now, Mat Bhavam, Bhagavan says, then you disentangle from matter, and Mat Bhavam, the spirit remains, that spirit is me, and you are part of me, so you can retain me. So how can we do it? In normal life, what does it translate as? First, we understand the philosophy. Yes, but in practical life, I'm still capable of desire and anger and arrogance and delusion and envy and greed, lobha, kama, krodha, mad, lobha, moha, desire and arrogance. The thing is, if I feel then I can do something about it. So when I am feeling a sense of desire for something, and I catch myself, it can come only with vigilant awareness. I catch myself in desiring something which may have popped up in my field of stimuli. Stimuli is some kind of a feeler which is sent by the world to our senses. So through media, through Amazon, through advertisements, through neighbors talking about it, through my passing through a mall, window shopping, so much of stimuli. Actually, we are only being bombarded by stimuli from the outside world all the time. And if we don't know how to fend it off, our armor is scriptures, our armor that we can wear against so much of stimuli, our armor is understanding Sadhana Shukla, Vivek. Okay, this is all unreal. What am I choosing it for? And I see this beautiful cabinet, a beautiful bookcase made of teak wood, and it's got this shining glass, and I'm tempted because it's up for sale. Somebody is disposing it off and they put it on media. And I say, oh, I want to see it, or I want to look at it, or I want to bargain and negotiate. I'm tempted up to that point. Okay, even if in the beginning stages you are tempted, you are not able to fend off the desire, at least at the later stage, at some point say, no, okay, I withdraw myself. But I was negotiating, I really don't need a new bookcase, because then it's going to be filled up with not books, because it's a glass showcase, it's going to be filled up with more and more curios and knickknacks and all kinds of things that I want to buy, cut glass and Swarovski, cut glass curios or marble, whatever our fetish may be. So each one of us has got some fetish of buying art pieces for our home, some like brass and marble or cut glass. And then we start collecting these things so that they can go into that glass showcase. What's the idea? At the point that it arises, and it happens to us especially when we are window shopping, or if we are visiting someone who's got a very well appointed home, well decorated home. This is something I need because it's so fun, whether you need it or not. So I'm going to quote a beautiful book, and I send you the link to that book, which I read some years back, and it's a powerful influence not only on my mind, but on the mind of mankind in Europe and those who have read it in the Eastern world. So this is Henry David Thoreau, if you heard of him, a philosopher, a naturalist. Henry David Thoreau, 1860 he passed away. So over a century and a half, more than that, he has been a great influence even in Europe. What was this book called Walden, which I read? Of course, he's written more books, but I only read the book called Walden. Walden is the name of a forest. So he decided one fine day that he is going to be minimalistic, take the minimum possible things. So one small backpack with his blanket and toothbrush or whatever, minimalistic, and lead a very, very austere life, almost like sannyasi saying, I'm going to the forest. So this forest life he wanted to explore, and he actually explored. While in that forest called Walden, he lived like this, and he did not take a torchlight or anything. I'm not sure there were. Of course, in the cottage there was no electricity, and he lived off the land, and he picked up berries. And that book is fascinating. He just lived in nature, supported by nature, and he just took a candle or something for barest survival. When the body is surviving on the bare minimum, the mind is free to rise to the higher level. Because then you are not catering to the demands of the body. The body is not even interacting with society. That's where all the stimulus is coming from. So once the body is, so let's call the body the home also. So if we keep the home also very minimal, very functional, of course pretty and beautiful and with our favorite things, but not cluttered. He wanted to unclutter his life, and with an austere life, he decided to experiment with himself. And one of the greatest surprises that I had when I read the book was that he read the Indian scriptures and the Gita, the translation of books. Can you believe it? The Gita has influenced so many great minds. It's amazing how people are naturally, who are seeking, are naturally drawn to a text like Gita. Of course, it's more accessible than the Upanishads. That's also a reason. But the thing is, they're also naturally drawn and attracted towards Eastern philosophy. And Sanatana Dharma, Gita is a shining example of Sanatana Dharma. So, he and there were so many other mythologists who read Gita. And this was centuries before we were born. And then we forgot about it. During the British rule, it was thrown out of the window, and the baby went out with the bath water, and everything that was good in our culture, and also which was superstitious, and which was, everything had got mixed up, the superstitious and the common and the rustic and the highest philosophy, all bundled together, baby with the bath water, out. Thanks to Macaulay. So now for 200 years, we really have to rediscover what the European world, and even Dara Shukla, the Muslim world, Dara Shukla, the elder brother of Aurangzeb, he had discovered the richness of this scripture. And as I told you, he was translating the scriptures in Persian, not as before he was killed by God. So the world has discovered something that we have desire, magnetism. I was talking about the six vikar, Kama, Krodh, Mad, Moh. They are residing in us as our guna. It's up to us to root it out consciously. Of course, Henry David Thoreau took a very extreme step of going to the jungle without too much to keep him warm. No, I'm not saying extreme steps. Can we take extreme steps? Declutter our wardrobe, declutter our desk, declutter our home, and then declutter our mind. See, when we declutter the outer, the inner then becomes free and naturally decluttered. So if we are interacting too much and too extroverted, the mind is cluttered, because the more extroverted we are, the more sounds and words and thoughts of those people who are talking around us in our extroverted group will bombard our minds, and therefore our mind cannot be decluttered. So even our friend circle can be decluttered. That means it can be brought down to those people who really matter in our spiritual life. And the others, we can still be happy in their company, but not seeking the noise and the distraction of their company. Because I don't want a diversion from myself. I don't want a distraction from myself. We are, Bhagavan is going to talk about someone who is chita, swastaha, steady in himself. Doesn't need the outside. What about Krodh? So I'm talking about all the Rajasic qualities. Now, growth itself makes us look extremely poor. So even if we are thinking about the opinion of others, we make a spectacle of ourselves, a very poor spectacle of ourselves the moment we give vent to anger. So it's just, we cut a very sorry figure. The moment we realize this, even at the moment of anger, we can lower our voice, calm down, take a deep breath, look afresh at the person who is causing the anger or the situation, take a step back, come back after the, don't react at that particular moment and say, let me think about it and I'll come back to you. Think about it, sleep over it, and you know that the anger will evaporate. Not giving vent to anger is reducing its power and hold on us. So, what about moha, delusion, not knowing Sadhana Shukla? That's in our hands. Matsarya, envy. Kama, Krodha, Moha, Loha, Matsarya. I'm just doing a bit of detail to understand how the Rajasic mind gets completely dissolved in these. Matsarya, envy. Now, why do we have to envy others? When we know that the discipline and the sacrifices that the other person may have done to attain what he or she has attained, I have not done that, but I want it. I want what they have. I want what they have. It's a very childish mind. We don't know the discipline or the sacrifices they may have done. Secondly, we don't know their punya, the punya or the good karma, as they call it, which they have brought from their previous so many janmas, and therefore they have what they have. My pap and punya karma is my baggage. How can we compare it with? So envy actually has no basis in anything, in karmic principle, in even in, if you look at the normal transaction of who we are and what the other person has worked for and we haven't worked for, even in that normal transaction, envy doesn't seem to have any basis, and yet it is the most powerful emotion that causes the most destruction of relationships, and I call it the Duryodhan disease. The Duryodhan disease. Arjun disease was grief, right? This envy is Duryodhan disease because he had no control over it, and therefore he led thousands of people into war right after him, only because he had no control over his envy and jealousy. And we turns into jealousy and then destructive action. We also are destructive in a small way. We don't get into battles. But that Duryodhan disease resides in us in a hidden way. Why aren't we watching it? Why are we not capable of letting us hold it rather than envy have a hold on us? So this reminds me of a Zen story. The Zen story of a Buddhist monk, a Buddhist nun, who said that my Buddha, the idol of a Buddha, is the best. I don't want to share it with anyone. So they had this little alcove in which they would light incense, and she said that even the incense is meant only for my Buddha. And therefore she lit the incense and she would cover this altar that she had with a dark cloth. And of course she could pray also within that little area that she created. So it was all covered. Because the incense should not be shared by other people who are praying. This is a monastery, right? And the nun, after some time, after a few months, found something strange. She looked at her Buddha, the idol of the Buddha, and guess what? He had a black nose. Black nose because the incense had gathered all, it was not allowed to waft through the caves and through the ashram into the air higher, and it was not allowed to waft. So the smoke just collected as carbon on the nose of her own Buddha. So she left because she was so jealous that everything should be hers. Duryodhan disease. Ye mera hona chahiye, ye mera hai, ye mera hai. What did she end up with? A black-nosed Buddha. The name of the story is Black-nosed Buddha. So the moment we say ye mera hai, and we hold on tight to these things, we just end up creating our own baggage and weighing ourselves down spiritually. It's like helium. Helium wants to take the balloon high up in the air, and the stone is weighing it down, and the stone is all the things, possessions of our world and our thoughts, मुझे ये चाहिए वो चाहिए, all those thoughts and all the objects that we have collected, accumulated, they are holding the balloon down and weighing it, dragging it down to the earth, and we cannot escape the vortex of gravity. Although helium says, helium, we all have helium, which is the spiritual quality. At some moment we have this feeling, I want to find God, I want to find the highest truth. We have that helium, but we don't allow it to take off, to transcend the earth. It's not possible because of our karma, desire for this, that and the other. Krodha, mad, lobha. Mad, oh mad, this is arrogance. I have achieved this. So mad becomes a pride which is also weighing us down. Now, Krodha, in fact, Osho had also mentioned once that these are our triggers. All of us have triggers. Why? We are not free of our triggers because किसी ने कुछ कह दिया, किसी ने कुछ कहना चाहिए था, वो क्यों नहीं कहा? Someone cold-shouldered me. उसने मुझे देखा नहीं, मैंने उसको कुछ बताया और उसने मेरी बात सुना नहीं, किसी ने कुछ सुना नहीं, किसी ने कुछ कहा नहीं, किसी ने कुछ कह दिया. What is going on? This madness. Because we have no control over those others, first of all, for the simple reason that they follow their own swabhava. They have no control over what they are saying or doing. They are dominated by their swabhava, and we are reacting to them. So we are not free, they are not free. It's like a madhouse, living in a madhouse. So Krodha is where Bhagavan says, are you so mechanical? That किसी ने कुछ कह दिया, but my trigger is pressed. किसी ने कुछ नहीं कहा जो कहना चाहिए था, मेरे लिए करना चाहिए था, नहीं किया, my trigger is pressed. Now I'm seething with anger and discontent. So are we so mechanical? So one of the ways in which Swami Abdeshanand used to say, he said, देखो हम लोग व्रत रखते हैं to discipline our body. व्रत यानी fasting. वो थोड़ा discipline हो so that we are not tempted by food and the body also gets detoxification, all that happens. But we have discipline over our hunger and our temptations for food, that's a disciplining of the mind. Very good. He used to say, तुम अपने काम का व्रत करके देखो, क्रोध का व्रत करो. So if we are having a food fast for one day in a week, why can't we say that Friday is my Krodha fast? Today is Friday. Oops, today I must catch myself getting into anger. And then a few times it will be tough because I may, or desire, let's say, desire for this or that. So Friday is my fast for desire. Or next 3 days, I have a fast for desire. So काम का व्रत करो, क्रोध का व्रत करो, मद का, arrogance. When you see it in yourself, you say, no, today is Wednesday, it is my arrogance व्रत. So if somebody tells me, अरे वाह, आप तो ये बहुत अच्छा करते हैं, बहुत अच्छा सिखाते हैं या बोलते हैं या बनाते हैं या ड्राइव करते हैं, जो कुछ भी हो, don't allow the mud and arrogance to rise. Oh, today is Wednesday, it's my I thought this was a very sweet way of making us more alert and vigilant, because we do have food fast for the same reason, for discipline. Lobha, arrogance, mad. Okay, so moha, delusion, matsarya, envy. Yeah, keep our Sundays for fast. That is called matsarya vrata. He said, keep these kind of fasts, and that's when the discipline may come. Especially when it comes to arrogance, we have to remember the words of Kabir, who says that mat kar kaya ko abhiman re bandi. Kaya, your outer appearance. Mat kar kaya ko abhiman re bandi. Mat kar kaya ko ka ahankar re bandi. Kaya gar se kachi. Gar, मिट्टी से कच्ची है वो, क्योंकि पवन का झोंका, एक पवन का झोंका लगे, एक पवन का झपका लगे, काया धूल हो जाती. Kaya becomes dust. Yeah, by the time we are old, the kaya will turn to dust, and it is turning every moment. Kaya धूल हो जाती. Kabir, when we remember this, we say arrogance of what? But still at close to death, we say, some of us, and we have seen people close to death and washed What are the things which are playing on their minds even closer to death? It is still that मैं अच्छा लगूं, मैं सुंदर लगूं, और किसी को जब हम देखते हैं, then I talk about their appearance. So my mind is only on their appearance or my appearance. It can happen if we don't remember these things, and if we don't do this disciplining vrata of kama, krodha, mada, moha. So this was the practical part of actually turning our rajasic mode into sattvic. So this was a practical aspect. Of course, we've understood the philosophy of it. कि rajasic में we cannot ever reach the highest truth, because that truth is immutable, unchanging, and hidden from us because of the noise of the rajasic world. It is clouding us, and therefore the quietening of tamas and rajas is the only thing I can find. Philosophy तो समझ में आ गई. Practical also we have to find some ways. And Arjun, the same thing is playing on Arjun's mind. So he is going to ask Bhagwan in the next verse. Arjun is saying, I want to know some method. And so very sweetly is asking in verse number 21. Arjuna uvacha कैर्लिङ्गैस्त्रीन् गुणानेतान् अतीतो भवति प्रभो किमाचारः कथं चैतां स्त्रीन् गुणानतिवर्तते. Arjuna saying, what are the indicators? Tell me quickly of a person who has gone beyond the three gunas. So that's what Bhagwan is talking about. He has mentioned that he can go beyond the three gunas. This is all matter only. Even the sattva, yes, even the sattva. So, what are the marks and indicators? What does a person look like? What is his conduct? Kim achar is the second line in this. Kim achar, उसका आचरण कैसा है? वो कैसा लगता है? And how does he go beyond three gunas nivartate. So, method. I want to know the steps. Exactly what is playing on our mind is playing on Arjun's mind. So, when Krishna speaks to Arjuna, it is the Lord speaking to mankind. So the Lord has to answer these questions. Which questions? That Arjuna has asked. You know that guna remain with us in causal form. Causal meaning if we don't express them, they're still there as a seed form. Seed. It is our personality. We can't see it. And it's not expressed. The moment we start thinking about some of our sattvic, rajasic or tamasic qualities, that thought becomes a sukshma form of that guna. So gunas remain in causal form, seed form, latent potential form. When they get expressed as sukshma, when we think about things, and when we express as action, when we do an action which is rajasic, tamasic or sattvic, then it becomes a true form of that guna. So gunas are expressed in many ways, but they remain either dormant or sukshma in thought or in action. The texture of that causal body, that seed body, that texture, when that becomes sattvic, then we can evolve. We do that. Now Arjuna is asking how, but how? Now when we're talking about causal body, I must mention a recent study that I was reading about early part of the 20th century, last century. The Russian scientists had done a lot of research on the aura of a person. Is there some kind of an energy field around the body? That means I am seated here and about 3 or 4 inches emanating out of this physical stool body, material matter body, is there a field of energy? And therefore they, after a lot of experimentation, they came up with some kind of a very rudimentary machine, photographic machine, of course, like a camera. But that camera could capture the aura or the energy field around all of us, around people. 3 or 4 inches outside of this body, there is an energy field emanating out. The energy emanates outward. Where does that come from? And you know the strangest thing that they discovered? They discovered that different people have this energy field. Everyone has this aura, but everyone has a different color and density of that energy. That was the strangest thing. And then they found that the ones which those whom they had photographed, like swami and saints and people who meditated, like they caught hold of monks and all Buddhist monks who meditate like 18 hours a day in their caves. They caught hold of them and they checked their aura. It was a light blue color. Yes, it is somewhere. I'm sure we will find it in our scriptures also that it has a color. And those who were trying to be seekers and wanted to know the truth and living a life according to the scriptures and still not very high in their evolution spiritually had an orange color. This is true. This is a scientific study that I'm quoting. And guess what? So those who were tamasic, lazy, indolent and not taking responsibility and giving way to anger and jealousy at will without taking care of their mind. They had an aura which was dull, dark and green. And very, very dull in color. That reminds me of another story of J. Krishnamurti. When he was a child, how was it that he was picked up to be a world leader? How did he actually become a world leader? He didn't get up one fine day and say, look, I have got the truth and I want to talk about it. So as a child, he was just a child from a very, very poor family on the outskirts of Chennai, Tamil Nadu. And in Adyar, so one of the people from the Theosophical Society, at that time in England, Theosophical Society was very strong and they were talking about religion of the world, one religion for the entire world. So in one sense, they were also highly spiritual and philosophical people. So Theosophical Society is almost defunct now, but there's still a center in Chennai, Adyar. On the beaches of Adyar in Chennai, there was this beach. And one of the founders, I think Madame Blavatsky, or Ledbetter, one of these two, was walking on the same beach and saw this young boy and totally, almost illiterate, poorly clad, from a very poor family with lice in his hair, long hair, unkempt look. And suddenly his eye fell on this unkempt boy who was 10 or 11 at that time. And he said, I can see a blue aura. I can see a blue aura. And you know that spiritual, very, very highly realized spiritual people can see the color of the aura the way this camera, Russian camera can. So he said, I can see it and I have a hunch that this child is going to be groomed and he is going to be a world leader. Otherwise, from a poor family, barely literate, he was just picked up from the beach. It was destined because his aura was... Anyway, it's there in the biography of J. Krishnamurti. And then the rest is history. He was picked up, taken to England, educated, and trained to be a world leader, to be the head of Theosophical Society. But it did not happen. One fine day, he called a meeting and he said, I'm disbanding this whole society. I don't believe in organized religion. Religion is No, he said, truth is the path left land. Truth cannot have a part of this religion, that religion, or this society, or this sect, or this organization. The moment you encapsulate it in some organization, it becomes defunct. It becomes solidified. It loses its quality of truthness. People don't look for truth. Then they get entangled in that temple or sect or organization. You cannot organize. So he disbanded everything and he gave this very famous speech, the very famous one. It's called Truth is a Path of Life. How was his aura detected? He already carried that aura in his causal body. Causal body means even before it is expressed in thought, we carry our gunas with us in potential form, and that may be reflected. According to these studies, I'm not sure, according to these examples I gave, yes, it reflects in the aura around all of us. Orange or blue or light or heavy or dark or grey, tamasic, and that gets expressed. So, in order to change our behavior, our conduct, our mindset, our thought patterns, the aura can change. And then, Bhagavan says, then there is a permanent cure. See, the temporary cure is that I can go beyond thought. Yes. When I don't have this thought which is creating ripples and waves and storms in my mind, I'm fine. I'm quite contented and equanimous, and I treat everything the same. Everything, because there is no experience to react to. That's a temporary solution. A permanent solution is that when you stand apart from all your gunas and say, I am actually the immortal immutable. Okay. So, the question that Arjuna has asked, how does and what methods does he employ to become such a gunatit? So, gunatit is a technical word, which means atit, beyond the three gunas. So, one who goes beyond. Krishna himself is gunatit. Also, in this word, because he has to play the role of a human and a charioteer and all that, he is expressing sattva rajasam. He has to play. He has to call Arjuna murkha in his anger. Yes, he uses these words. These are expressions of guna. These are only expressions. But he himself is gunatit. Now, in the second chapter, if you remember, Stita Pragya is the word which was used, which is almost like gunatit. But to say that the gunatit person becomes Stita Pragya, steady and conscious. This was asked by Arjun in second chapter. Stita Pragya se ka bhasha. कैसे बोलता है वो Stita Pragya? Samadhisthasya Keshava. Is immersed in consciousness. Stitadhi kim prabhasheta. How does he talk? Kimasita vrajeta kim. How does he sit and walk? Same thing he had asked, and Bhagavan had explained in the second chapter the characteristics of a Gita Pragya. Atmaneva tustaha, the Pragyasya dochate. Same kind of expression. Again, Bhagavan is explaining. Gita Pragyasya ka bhasha, the one who is contained, self-contained, contented, steady, sthita in oneself. How does one get to that point? So, Bhagavan is answering in verse 22. Shri Bhagavan uvacha prakasham cha pravrittim cha mohameva cha pandava na dveshti sampravrittani na nivrittani kamshati. So, he says, Bhagavan says, light, activity and delusion when they are present. By light, activity and delusion, that is prakasham, pravrittim and moha, he means nothing but prakash is tattva, pravrittim, that activity is rajas, and moha is tamas. He's saying when all these are present in that person can be in sattva blissfully contemplative, or rajas very very energetic and ambitious and active, or lazy and uninterested in tamas. But in all these, he does not wrestle with the mind to say that he likes this guna or that guna. Even in ourselves, we are not going to attach likes and dislikes to our own gunas. Sattva hai, okay, fine, I accept it. Rajas hai, okay, we do something to take the next ladder. You remember the step of the ladder, the next step. But there is no reaction. Even to our own guna. Of course, we react to other people's guna. But this gunatit is a person who is not wrestling with his own mind, and therefore Bhagavan says there is na dveshti, na kamshati, not desiring this, not hating it, not liking it. Neither rejoicing nor hating, neither grieving nor desiring. Okay. In fact, he had said this in the 12th chapter also, somewhat like this. Yo na hrishyati, na dveshati, na rejoice karta hai, na reject hota hai, na dveshti. Shoshati na kamshati, not despairing, not desiring, na shoshati na kamshati, shubha shubha parityagi, antimanya same priyaha. I like such people, same priyaha. He had mentioned this in the 12th chapter. Why? Because such a person knows I am the substratum. I am the substratum of all the gunas which are playing on me. I am not that. I can't be, because I can see the gunas. If you can see, you must be the seer. You must be distinct. The seer has to be distinct from the object one is seeing. If I can see the book is distinct from me. If the book is me, I can't see it, then I am the book. But I am not the Buddha. I can see it outside of me. Therefore, I remain steady and sthita inside, like the hub of a wheel. The spokes of the wheel are all the gunas. That's one of the tamas is playing all the time. The wheel of life is turning, and all these gunas are the spokes of the wheel. What about me? I'm the hub. I remain steady. I hold the spokes together as the center, and I am that center. So Bhagavan says, yes, so Gunatit is such a person. So one of the qualities Bhagavan has explained. So it happens when we notice that I am agitated, I am angry, I have been very nasty. Yes, I have also said something nasty to someone in my fit. Oh, what is it? But do not flog yourself for it. Let it come. So someone is saying, if you flog yourself for it, you are getting entangled in your see, this is one step higher. For us simple folk, for us simple people, it's a struggle even to just come out of our tamas, come out of our rajas, and just get into sattva. This higher step is perhaps for the higher seekers, to say that okay, sattva, rajas, tamas are just on playing like waves on the ocean, like standing in my balcony and watching the scene below. It's playing on me, fine. Just watch it that I'm sattva and then let go of sattva. How does it happen? When I keep this remembrance in my mind, I am nirvikar. Vikar means changing, moderating, disintegrating. I am nirvikar, without any change. I am sakshi. So I am not the karta. Oh, yes, I am karta of that doing something in sattvic. I make the body, mind, intellect is a karta, is doing all the action in sattvic and rajasic. Who will bear the consequences? Karma phal kaun bhogega? If I am nirvikar, I am distinct, I am high above, I am only consciousness. But karma phal to lagega. If I am too rajasic, something too vicious, too aggressive in this sansar, किसी ना किसी को तो कर्म फल लगेगा ना. My consciousness मुझे नहीं लगेगा. So it is the same jiva which goes from birth to birth, death to death, is the one who is going to bear the consequences of this karma. Not the consciousness, I am nirvikar. So the moment we say, oh, I am nirvikar, I am untouched, I am not, then I can get away with everything. Nobody gets away with anything. That jiva, which is me now, becomes another jiva in the next birth, and karma phal, punya ho ya paap ho, bhogna to padega. Therefore, the gunas come into importance. My actions will have consequences. But I have consciousness, I am untouched. So Bhagavan said, now that you understood that, this bit about yourself, about the gunatit person, that is, because Arjuna tell me about the gunas. Then Bhagavan says, I'll tell you further in verse number 23. That person is also has certain qualities. Like what? Like this. Udasina vadasino yona nivichalyate guna vasanta ityeva vadishadi megade. He is the one who is seated unconcerned. Unconcerned means udasin. Doesn't mean thoughtless or uncaring or insensitive. It simply means untouched, unmoved, udasinavat, sitting there, mudaryona vichalyate by guna. All the gunas are playing in me. I'm not letting them get agitated, but I'm watching. I will be steady. Steadiness is important. Because why not touched by all the gunas? In myself. That's just tamas. So I'm blissful. I'm not hanging on to the thrills of the bliss of tattva or getting agitated by ambitious energy. No. Why? Because I know that all the tattvas, the rajas, the meditation, the ambitious energy, or the laziness is happening outside of me. Outside of me. Not me. The moment we remember that it is happening and the outside of me is changing me, isn't it? Therefore, my guna also changes. So everything that is happening is outside the gunas and it's also changing. It's happening outside and it's changing. The moment we remember this, then it becomes like visiting a cinema hall and watching the tragedies and comedies of life and just entertainment. Life becomes a very blissful, happy life because you are not involved. That's why Udaseena means not to get involved, and the word is seated above. Udaseena, seated above everything, all the tragedies and comedies. Then Avatisthati is a beautiful word. Then only you can be Avatisthati, centered in yourself. Centered in yourself, we had mentioned in second chapter as Atmanyeva, Vatmana, Tushtaha. Tushtaha Santushta contented. Atmanye means yourself, by yourself. Atmanyeva. He mentioned it many times. Arjun, forget, so he's asking again. Because now he's asking qualities of Gunati. That time he was asking qualities of the practice. He has to see what is the self. You know, the dignity centered. The one who is Yogatisthati, the one who is Avatisthata, steady in the self, is Nengate. Na Hingate. Hingate means swerved. Swerved what? Swerved by the storms of the world. So Nengate here means he just observes without being swerved or shaken. Like watching a play or watching a scene from the balcony. Now, all our great masters, Mahavir, Valmiki, and Christ and Muhammad, everyone has said, stick to the Sattva Guna first. This is not an excuse for us to get off the Sattva Guna at all. Because finally, we have to take the last step. I cannot jump from the bottom step to the terrace of my house. I have to take it step by step by step and then the terrace. I want to get to the terrace. So Sattva Guna has to be there. So all these masters have included. But you know that this is Sattva Guna. And therefore, he says, this is the last step has been done. Then come to me, Krishna. And so the real nature of self, that is capital S, self of oneself, and Krishna is the same. But we have to practice the gunas in the world. Which means Krishna is saying, for practicing this, your so-called religion has to come out of your temples and caves and monasteries and ashrams and come out and practice it in the sansar. The highest religious spiritual practice is not in the temple and the altar and the ashram and the caves. It is in the sansar that we can watch our gunas. What is happening to my mind? Am I getting into kama, krodha, mad, lobha, moha? I can watch only in this world. So Krishna is saying, bring out that religion, so-called religion of yours, out into the world, and then you see whether you are hankering for the bliss. That means attached to tattva, or clamoring for the worldly action. All worldly things I am clamoring for. I may be in rajas or sinking into the darkness of tamas. You can watch yourself. If none of these is happening to you, even I am not even hankering for the thrill of the bliss of meditation, then there is no hankering at all. Then there is no movement at all. And then I am swasthaha. Swasthaha actually in Sanskrit also means healthy. So swasthitaha, being seated in oneself is the word. Therefore the word healthy actually means that the mind and body is still. Swastha. So आप स्वस्थ हैं? When we ask आप स्वस्थ हैं? हाँ मैं स्वस्थ हूँ या नहीं हूँ? So swastha, swasthitaha, steady and in the self. If that's where we are, then one of the masters used to say that what is the difference between one who is agitated because he is used to doing japamala and puja every evening, and a few days when they are traveling or if there is no opportunity and then there are too many guests in the house and I cannot do my mala or my puja or my meditation, I am restless. Same thing with the other person who is used to drinking or smoking every evening and he doesn't get an opportunity. And when that happens, he gets restless. What is the difference? Both are restless without that bliss they were getting. Therefore, Tattva, that is telling the mala and meditation and puja, may be Tattva, but if it has the capacity, if it becomes your habit, a grip on your mind, then that it is still chaining you. Remember, Krishna talked about the three chains which are holding us. So this is what is meant, that I can get restless where I don't get my Tattva also. So the drunkard or the drug addict or the smoker is also restless, and that is also chaining him. So the sattva can chain me, the rajas can chain me, the highest spirituality is to move beyond all. And some more practical tips Krishna says, because Arjun says, no, tell me exactly what to do. What is it that I can go really drop in this world? In this world, in this sansar, I am living here. Don't give me high philosophy. So 24th and 25th, two verses, Bhagwan says, okay, I'll tell you what to drop. And therefore, eight things he says, if you can control yourself in these 8 ways, you are free. And that we will see next time. पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ॐ श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु. हरिः ॐ हरिः ॐ हरिः ॐ.